Thanks. Thanks, Dr. Welsin, for the starting a session. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Mustafa Qasim. I'm based in Sydney, Australia, and I have been in the IT industry for almost 20 years now. Since
Mm,
2005 was my first job when I started working in computer networks and operating systems. And I have been in cybersecurity for the last 12 to 13 years. And
mm,
and all of that 20 to 13 years have been a highly specialized focused on incident response, which is the first response service when companies get hacked or when they have a security incident. So I've been in this field for more than a decade now, and today's uh, lecture is on the topic of cyber threat and the impact and their impact. So what I will help you understand is not just the standard definitions of what are the kind of cyber attacks. There are many, like more than maybe up to 2 dozen different cyber attacks. We're not going to get into the literal definitions of those attacks, but I'm going to give you a more close to real life understanding of what cyber threats are and how they actually impact you and me, like yourself, your family, your relatives, my relatives, people in my society, and how that actually materializes and manifests. So that is the agenda for today's session. We'll hopefully go for 40 45 minutes, and then we'll leave the last 15 minutes for question and answers. Based on my previous experience, there were more questions, so I will try to leave more room, maybe 20 minutes for question and answer. But uh, brothers and sisters, please feel free to ask question. You can drop question in the chat. You can write it down on a piece of paper, and then in the question and answer session, I would really appreciate for you to really open up, ask me any question that you can think of. No question is simple or stupid, so just keep that in mind. um, all good. So now on to the first slide is that it's not about just computers. When you think of cyber attacks, when you think of cyber threats, what do you think of? Maybe someone's laptop, maybe 50 or 100 or 500 computers in a company. It's more than just the technology. It is actually our lives. In all modern cities these days, every aspect of our life depends on technology. When you go to hospital to do a CT scan or do a cancer treatment, or when you go into that operation theater, they depend on a lot of technology in those hospitals. When you go to banks to withdraw your wage so you can pay your bill and your rent and buy food, that bank branch fully depends on technology to operate. If the technology stops working, you can't withdraw your money, right? The ATMs you use to withdraw, that is pure technology. So it's not just piece of computer, it is our life. Every aspect of our life in 2026 depends on computers, depends on technology, and that is why it is important for all of you to understand that technology, to understand what the world of cyber threat is, and what is actually a cyber world, and how actually technology is the blood veins that connects all societies, cities, departments, functions, groups. And if that technology stops working, our life will come to a grind. And that is the understanding I need you to begin our journey into this session today. All right. Now, on the left side, on the slide, there is an image for a virus that people who are of similar age than me, like who had a computer in early 2000, they would remember that there used to be viruses that would display some funny things on your screen, or more, they were just annoying to you. Sometimes they would harm you, like deleting your data. I remember once there was a malware that would, once it runs on your machine, it does nothing but waits for a certain date in June or July, like it was a mid-year, and then at that day it would wipe your hard disk. it would delete all of your data. So I used to have a very old computer back then in like maybe 2002 and 2001, and the hard disk would eventually warm up because it was hot and we didn't have air conditioning in our home. So the computer become hot and then it will stop working. So I will take out the hard disk and put that in a freezer and then take it out in half an hour and turn on my computer. So when that happened, I thought, it's just my computer warming up. I put the drive in my refrigerator, took it out after half an hour, no effect. And then I did it a few times, and then I learned that, hey, it has deleted my data. That was the first time when I learned what a partition on a computer is and how do you install Windows 98 on a computer. So that was the early era of cyber threats, where you would get viruses on your computer that will annoy you, make your computer slow, and maybe delete your data. But it was not at all anything organized or large scale. But from that basement, people are sitting in their basements writing those funny malwares. Now it is a billion-trillion-dollar industry. It's an entire ecosystem. Like if you think of how fresh vegetables are delivered to your shop near your home, there is an entire supply chain, right? There are dedicated group of people who are farming, who would produce that vegetables, and there is another group of people who buy it from farmers, and then another group of people who help transport that vegetables to cities and big markets, and there another group of people who are the shopkeepers who would go to those markets and buy it and put it for sale near your home. So there is that is what you call an ecosystem or a supply chain. This is what we have now in cyber threats. We have an entire ecosystem. We have an entire supply chain. We have an entire dedicated group of people who are just dedicated to writing malware, group of people who are just dedicated to selling malware and using malware, and so on. We're going to get in more detail. But the point on this slide is the cyber threat has really evolved from something that was annoying into something that is now it can kill people. It can take lives. Simple as that. It's that bad. Okay. Now, when we look at, okay, how can we group those people into main groups which are most annoying and problem creating these days? The first is scammers, right? I think everyone in this call, if they haven't been scammed, they've been attempted by a scammer in their life, right? Or at least in last year. So everyone gets those scams calls, those scams emails, those fraud that people do. So that is one big chunk of cyber criminals whose whole purpose is to scam people and steal their money. And then we have organized cartels. So just like in crime, like when there are some people who act as lone wolf, but then there are organized structures where like 100, 300 people are working under one solid structure and organized structure to conduct crime, what we call organized crimes. The same way, a lot of even those organized crime units that used to smuggle drugs, they have now moved into cybercrime because it's less expensive, it's more safe. You can just get internet and hide out in some remote place, and you can run those scam portals or crime centers. And then there are state-sponsored, where actually the government, like USA have National Security Agency, NSA, right? NSA do employ cyber attacks against other countries that USA does not agree with, countries that USA doesn't like. The same way Russia have their nation state sponsored hackers who hack into countries that Russia doesn't agree with, or Russia doesn't like, or Russia want to hurt. The same way China have, the same way Iran have, and a lot of European countries, like almost every country in this age, in 2026, there is some small or large factor of body that engages in attacking other countries or other diplomats. So that is a reality of this age. So these are the three main group that you can think of when you ask, okay, so what are the motives? Who are the people who are attacking? These are the three most common motives in this recent age: scammers, organized crimes whose sole purpose is just to earn money. It doesn't matter if it's by selling drugs or by smuggling or by cybercrime. They're just in there for money. And the third is the state-sponsored groups. Now, how big is this economy? Like I told you before, it has reached up to more than $8 to $9 trillion. So if cybercrime was a country, it would be the world's third largest economy. It is that big, right? So this gives you an idea of the scale of how things are being run, right? You can look at entire country's GDP, right? It's nowhere close. So there is that much like you can say concentration of criminal groups in cybercrime, because like I said before, why? Because it's easy, right? You need to have a place in some remote area where you don't have a good law enforcement control, and then you can run a cybercrime entity from there. All right, now on to the most dangerous but the most prevalent attack. I'm gonna be spending some time in talking two attacks today, which I believe you should know and you should understand. And we're gonna spend the time on those two attacks, and then we'll move onto the impact. InfoStealer. Now, like I told you, I've been in this domain for more than a decade now, and based on my experience, I highly believe that everyone sitting in this call has been impacted by an InfoStealer, or maybe some of you would have InfoStealer running on your computer now. It's that prevalent. It's that widespread. And you know what happens? What is an InfoStealer? InfoStealer is just a malware, right? What does the malware do? Malware does a lot of different things. What does InfoStealer malware do? They do nothing on your computer. What they do is, okay, let me ask you a question. How many of you, when you go to different websites in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox using a web browser, sometimes when you create an account, the browser asks you, hey, do you want to save the password? I can help you type that again. Where does that password go? That password goes into a vault within your browser. So if you're using Google Chrome and you create an account on a website, and then Chrome says, hey, you want to save the password? And if you click yes, Chrome have a password manager that where the credentials would go. Now, if any of you have gone and tried to read those passwords, it will ask you a password. But the point is, it is your own user account password. So if you are logged into your laptop as Mustafa, you don't need admin password, you just need your password. So what does an InfoSealer do? Do you remember there was a movie, famous movie, Gone in 60 Seconds? Right. It's literally like that, InfoStealer. The InfoStealer incidents I have observed in my career, the exact timing, it was something like 40 to 50 seconds. So by the time InfoStealer runs on your computer, it just needs 40 to 50 seconds to do its job, and then it's done. It's gone. What did it actually do? When you look into the operations and what malware did, there is a way to run your browser with debugging credentials, right? That is just a method where you will run your browser if you are troubleshooting, if the browser isn't working well. Now, what InfoSealer malware does is, the moment it runs on your computer, it scans for all popular browsers: Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Opera, Safari, all those main web browsers. all the one that it finds, it starts every browser as a hidden window, so you don't see anything popping up on computer. But within 20 seconds, it starts the browser and it steals those passwords, the username passwords you have on your computer. And that's how easy it is, right? Because I do research, I have I do collect threat intelligence, and I do have those log files where they are different people's credentials, but I cannot show you on the screen due to legal concerns. But due to my profession, I do perform research, and I do collect those logs. So what happens? It creates one text file, which is hardly like maybe 50 kilobytes. It's not even 1 MB. And it has all of the website URL, username, and password from your computer. If you saved your debit card or credit card, that is also gone. So that is what InfoStealer does. It runs on a user's computer. It collects all the saved credit cards, addresses, personal details, website URL, and username and password from your web browsers, all of your web browsers, put that into one file, uploads to the server, and then it's gone. And then what happens? Then there is an entire ecosystem, right? So there, like I said, the way fresh fruits and vegetables are supplied to shops near your home, there is an entire supply chain. This InfoStealer then goes into a big supply chain. So on the top left, as you can see, if I use my laser pointer, so as you can see, the InfoStealer malware created by mass providers. So who are these people? These are the people who first creates the InfoSealer malware. They don't deploy it. They don't use it. Their job is just to create. Like they are like tailors who create, who's like, who do make suits, right? They don't use it. They sell it. So they sell it to on dark web. So malware gets offered dark web, like, hey, I have this malware, no anti-malware detects it, and you can use it, And then who buys it from them? Criminals, crooks, right? Cyber criminals. They purchase that malware, and then they distribute it to people. If any of you have downloaded any pirated application from the internet, like maybe a video game that you didn't want to pay, and you downloaded a pirated video game, or maybe you've been to like those illegal streaming websites to watch movies, or if you have been downloading software like that without paying the legitimate way, you have, congratulations, you got InfoStealers in bonus, right? So think of this. If I am okay, help me. What is the most commonly used software in your region, in your countries, that you know that people can't afford, but you know that everyone uses that you have to buy? Help me in the chat. Can you guys send me some?
I know of people who have acquired just the Microsoft Office suite without paying for it. Pretty much the way you just described it. They found a way to get a copy for, let's say, $10 when we're talking about a suite that cost nearly $300. That's an
Yeah.
example.
Yes, that's a very good example. Office applications mostly, and if you have young boys in your home, they want to play video games, right? So they would
Yes.
get their video game whatever way they want, they can, but they would get it and play it. So if I am the cyber criminal, think like that. I want to infect 20,000 people. I want 20,000 computers, credentials.
Mhm.
Now, if I can invest in one video game that is going to cost me maybe $80, $60, I will buy that game legitimately, right? I will rip it, crack it, make a cracker, and then embed my malware in it and put it on a website for free. And then people are going to swarm in, they're going to keep running to download it. And then I automatically, just by investing $80, now I have access into 20,000 computers because those people wanted this application, right? So I have converted. So now that I have, and 20,000 is very small number. Like it really literally goes in hundreds of thousands, right? Because the log files that we get, they goes into like terabytes. So like they're literally millions of people. And that is why I said like everyone in this call, based on the probability, I can say you have been infected by an infostealer in recent years. It's just not possible that no one gets infected. It's that bad. So what they do is they distribute it. This horse icon is that the Trojan horse, like it could be that Office application, or it could be that that video game that I packaged my malware in and gave for free. Or I can send emails for allure people to download and run my applications. Then victim downloads the InfoStealer. It could be the free application. They're happy, they're using it, but unknowingly they have given away all of their stored information to the criminal. Then what they produce is a log file. So even in that place, there are different kinds of wholesalers, right? Like again, if you take the example of that vegetables or other groceries, you know that there are big companies that would import something like noodles into your country, but they don't sell it. To whom they give it? Wholesalers, right? Big businesses that buy in huge bulk, they are the wholesalers, and even they don't sell to you. They sell to individual businesses, shops, and then you get it from the shops. It's the same model. The people who are developing malware, they are too busy developing that and they're earning too much that they don't have time to use it. And then the people who buy these InfoStealers, and when they distribute it, they get like hundreds of thousands of people infected and credentials that they don't have time to sort through the credentials and know, okay, these are the email credentials, these are Facebook credentials, these are government account credentials, these are e-banking credentials, this is Netflix credential. They don't do that. They just collect that in dump and sell it in wholesale. And they do advertise as a log file in cyber criminal marketplaces. So they are marketplaces. It's just like Amazon. It's just a website. Sometimes it's on open internet, so you don't need anything special to access it. Sometimes it is on that what we call a Tor network, a dark web. So you need to install a Tor client, a browser, to access those websites. But it's also available on Telegram channels, right? It's open on the internet. So then that is a point where they sell that in bulk, and then people buy that. The next group of people, they would buy it and they would filter it, because there are some criminals who are only after Gmail accounts. There are some criminals who are only after Facebook accounts. There are some criminals who are only after e-banking accounts. So what they do is they then sort and split and make in bundles. There are criminals who are only after credit card data, not user credentials. So then these people give the details and it moves on, right? If we talk about hacking a company, like if I am a criminal and I am really interested in, let's say, whatever your national telecom company is, right? Riotech, let's say, for example. So I know that Riotech is the biggest telco in Africa. I'm really looking to get into Riotech. So I will put a demand to these marketplaces that I need Riotech credentials. So whenever you get those credentials in your data log, I'm the buyer. Give it to me. And then one day there's going to be a Riotech credential because the employee logged in from his home computer or maybe they were not, they didn't have a good hygiene, cyber hygiene, and they just ran something illegal or pirated on their work computer, and they lost all of their username passwords. And that is where they would log into, like it could be a customer support, right? So if I'm a customer support agent, my credential have access to thousands of customer data of this telecom. So if I lose my credential, anyone who logs in with my credential, now what? They can download all of that credential customer data, and now they can do multiple things with that. They can ransom the teleco, or they can use that for fraud and other activities. All right. So this is the ecosystem. Now, this is an example from Redline is a very popular info stealer malware, and this is a forum post. If you look at this, I want to present you a stealer designated for convenient work with logs, collect the most demand information. What information this collects? Now, this guy is selling a malware, info stealer malware. Browsers, login and password, cookies, autocomplete fields, credit cards, supported browsers, all Chromium browsers, all Gecko, Mozilla, and FTP clients, custom grabbers, like custom grabbers by mean, if you know that, let's say you are willing to trying to steal some intellectual property, which is developed by AutoCAD applications. Right? AutoCAD is an application that designs architecture, right? And you know that the government agencies, all of the diagrams of their sensitive buildings, it is in AutoCAD format, right? So, and you know that AutoCAD, every time when it's installed, this is the default location where AutoCAD saves files. So you can even give those custom locations that, hey, if the computer that you drop onto, if it has AutoCAD, look at this folder and grab all the files you can from that folder. So even that kind of configuration you can do. Collect information about the victim system, IP, country, city, hardware ID, keyboard, and all of that. So this is a sample of how someone is promoting the InfoSealer malware for sale onto a dark web forum. So this was the first big threat that everyone in this age should be aware of, not just you, even your family members. This is a common cyber literacy, right? The way we know how to operate an Android device, that is a technical literacy. The same way everyone should have some cyber threat literacy. They should know how things can go wrong, because this is not just computers. This is malware. You know, in Android, everyone have that torch application. Used to have that before. Now it is a default function now, but a few years ago that was a very cool thing. So everyone had a torch application on their Android phone, and many people won't notice a lot of torch applications, when you're installing them, they would ask for permissions to read SMS, send SMS, read your context, access your media. Like, why do you need to access my media to turn on the torch? Why do you need to send SMS to turn on the torch? That is how an Android malware works. So people had lost their personal information and personal data through mobile, through computers, just because there was not enough literacy of cyber threats. So that was the first threat that applies to everyone, even your grandmother. If she uses computer, it applies to her. Your kids, even if they are in school, if they use a computer, it applies to them. So this information is vital for everyone to understand and know that there is such an ecosystem, the way it works, and how it impacts us. The second threat is ransomware, which is quite popular, quite hot in the industry. What it does, how does a ransom works in real life? I can snatch something that is important to you and then ask you to give me money before I can return it to you. That is how a ransom works. And that is what a ransomware malware does. It will, when it drops on your computer, it will ransom your data for money. And the most common way it does is by encrypting the data. So you cannot open it. It's garbage for you. And the key to decrypt, to unlock the data is with the criminal. And they will only give you the key if you pay them the money. That is how a ransomware works. So usually the way it works is you would get something in spam or email, the malware downloads, and you will run the code. The malicious code encrypts your file. Once you run it, it will start encrypting all Word document, PDF, image files, audio, video, all of those common files that a person uses. It's going to encrypt all of them. And then you will see a ransom note, and then you have to pay to get that out. There are 3 different types of ransomware. The one most common is a locker ransomware that actually locks your file by encrypting that. But sometimes it behaves in exfiltration way. Like it will steal your data, upload onto their servers, and then delete from your machine completely. And then it will say, hey, I have got your 12 GB of data with me. It's gone from your computer. If you want it, pay me money and I'll give you the download link. And then third kind is scareware that actually doesn't do anything, but they'll make it look like too much scary that your computer has been infected. And on top of that, like the ecosystem, ransomware as a service, RaaS is the ecosystem of ransomware. Again, there are people who provide tools, ransomware kit. What they do is they build the malware. And then even the operators, what they do is there is like the big wholesalers. Like let's say person A is Adam. Adam is the main operator. Now he has the ransomware malware, he does the operations and all that. But then he adds affiliates like resellers. So person B, Jack, will join Adam. And Adam will say, Jack, here is all of my kit. Take it, use it. If you go and hack into people's computer, go and encrypt their data, if anyone pays me, you get a 50% cut. Or you get a 40% cut. That is affiliate system developed in ransomware. So what happens is you get the affiliate, the main operator. This is the Adam, the big guy. He provides the toolkit, the entire kit to infect any computer. The affiliate, the second party, the small party, they will then go on and start infecting computers, right? And then affiliate that deploys the ransomware onto the victim's computer. Victim pays the ransom to the primary party, right? Because they are running the whole infrastructure. Affiliate is just reselling, it's just deploying on their behalf, right? And then once they pay the ransom, the main operator that provides the key for them to unlock their data. Sometimes they just don't. And then operator shares profit with affiliate. So that is how the ransomware industry is working. Now, on to geopolitical cyber threats. This is again a reality, like I said, and our lives depend on it. Some of the examples I'll move through, and then we'll move to the question and answer section. In USA, in Florida, a water treatment facility was hacked. And after hacking, because all the operations are done in a computerized manner, what they did was they changed the amount of chemicals that is used to cleanse the water, and to an amount that was deadly. So if that operation was successful, which thank God it was not, the water would supply into people's home. And when they open the tap to drink water, they would be poisoned. So this is how it impacts us, you and us and everyone. Colonial Pipeline attack. There was a ransomware attack that targeted US major fuel pipeline, which discontinued delivery of fuel to multiple states, as shown on the map, for 6 days. And you know what happens when you don't have fuel to move cars. You can't move goods, you can't move patients, you can't do anything, right? The entire human society will come to grind. That is the impact of ransomware, malware, cyber threats can have on our society. And that we have seen in the US. That was a huge disaster. there's an Irish healthcare service that was impacted by ransomware, and thousands of medical appointments were canceled. Cancer treatments were disrupted, which you can imagine could be life-threatening, right? And hospitals were forced to revert to pen and paper style systems for weeks. So now just imagine if a hospital is already operating at capacity, and by using technology only, they can afford the flow of patients to process and put them and discharge them. If you take it away from them, their capacity to process patients is going to drop by like more than 50%. And that is where lives will be lost. And that is how a cyber attack will result in human deaths and impact on us. The ships that roam in the seas, moving our stuff, when you order something from Amazon or AliExpress or Alibaba, these containers, they do the big job. Our food, our medicines, like all necessities of life, they are moved across the globe in these containers. And a ransomware attack at this Maersk, the company, the biggest container company, shipping giant, it disrupted 80% of their port operations. Now, 80% of world stuff stopped moving, right? And it caused them 10 billion in global damages, right? All the businesses that didn't receive their goods on time, right? All those impacted parties. Ukraine power grid. This is the nation state part. Russia has been attacking. What they did was they spread malware on Ukraine power grids, attacked them, and forced them to turn off, causing a blackout for many cities and thousands of civilians. Now, just imagine your city that have hospital and that have people on critical in ICUs that depend on the electricity. If a cyber attack can cut off the power grids for like, who knows, few days, again, lives are at risk. And not just life, daily business, daily operations. If there's a blackout, the entire life in that city, again, comes to grind. It halts. And then politics. Everyone have heard of Trump complaining about Russia meddling into US elections in 2016. Well, there have been some evidence that FBI has floated, and that is how one country tries to influence or like meddle into other countries' affairs. So these all examples that I've went through, the intention was so you can understand what I just said, what I said at the start of this session, that this is about our protecting the way of life, right? And that is why it is important for everyone to understand cyber threats, have the fundamental literacy of what a cyber threat is, and how, when it manifests, when it becomes real, how it can impact all of our lives, our drinking water, to our fuel supply, to our hospitals, to our cargo moving, to our power grids, to our politics and elections, right? That is the impact of cyber threats. Now, the last 15 minutes, I'll open up for any questions. I'm going to check the chat and see if you have any questions. Please, so Mary has asked, please throw some light on the dark web and how it operates. So, okay, let me get something straight. Dark web is a buzzword that is quite fancy on the internet, right? Sometimes people fancy hearing podcasts on dark web, and then there are some people who just create a drama. Like they would go on podcast and say things that will kind of amuse people or make them wow, right? But in reality, dark web is nothing but, there are two aspects to look at that. One, the technical aspect, it has nothing to do with criminals, right? Like VPN, like mobile phone, right? Is mobile phone a bad technology? No. But can a someone who has kidnapped a person, they will use mobile phone to make the ransom call, right? Now it's just a criminal using a technology. So dark web, when you look at the technology, that is called onion routing, right? If anyone is interested in understanding about dark web, what dark web is from the technical aspect, they should be Googling onion routing. Onion is the same word that we eat, and routing. That is the technology part. Now, the criminal part, which fantasize people, is criminals are using dark web. Yes, they are, but they're using mobile phones. Criminals are using emails, right? All only the difference that has happened is criminals have started using technology to do crimes. And those places where criminals gather is kind of considered the dark web or criminal marketplace. And it is both, like I said, is on open internet. It doesn't have to be super secret. It can be a WhatsApp group. Just imagine all the crooks and the criminals or smugglers in your city, they have a WhatsApp group. Won't they? Definitely they do, right? What kind of discussions goes in that WhatsApp group? All illegal, right? Maybe gruesome, maybe inhuman. Now that if you happen to step into that WhatsApp group, what you would see is what you would see in dark web. So criminals use Telegram. So they are private Telegram channels and Telegram groups where they would gather and share illegal data, or they will cooperate. They will go onto internet. They are on online websites which are just on the internet. Like I said, you can, if you know the URL, you can just put it on your browser and open it. You don't need anything else, right? And then there is also part of the dark web that is on the what you call that onion routing, right? Which you need that Tor browser to access. So my message always on dark web is don't fantasize it. It is just criminals and crooks using technology to do illegal things. That's it, right? It can be a WhatsApp group, it can be a Telegram group, it can be a website on open internet, or it could be a website on hidden behind .onion addresses. So that is what I would say is dark web, and the purpose. All right.
Thank you very much for that clarification, Mustafa Kasim. You haven't given me the time to thank you very, very much. On behalf of the whole family of Atlantic International University, for this eye-opener presentation that has proven its worth. We all now understand the level of scale that these criminals have put all over our lives. Pretty much like you specified, it's not just about what happens to our computers, to our technology-driven devices, but it is something that affects our lives in general. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have on your end also appreciated that high-level presentation of our SME in the arena of cybersecurity. And at this stage right now, the floor is entirely yours. We have about roughly 12 minutes for your questions. And please take full advantage of that opportunity to ask questions, because I'm sure each and every one of you must be to a certain extent scared and you have to take appropriate steps to make sure that you can protect yourselves and your loved ones, everybody around you. As we are waiting for questions, Mustafa, I have one of my own. What happens now when it comes to proactivity, when we try to get proactive, or let me make the question a little simpler to say, what can we do to avoid action from those criminals?
So
If there is anything that we can do.
yes, so we we all have to one make our part in increasing the literacy and
Mhm.
awareness for cyber threats, because, like I said, it impacts everyone this age, even our like parents and our grandparents. They use everyone is on mobile these days, right?
Mhm.
Even like I have seen grandparents; they are more addicted to mobiles than kids. At least some of the some of the people I have seen in my family. But the challenge is they have a piece of technology in their hand which they don't
Mhm.
understand, right? And that can harm them, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people have lost their personal data, sensitive personal data, just because they were not aware that how to protect it. So we all should contribute to our capacity to increase that awareness. You can't be use something without understanding how it's going to harm you, right? We have all started using technology, but we don't put effort in educating ourselves. So I would say awareness and education is something that we need to do on every level. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an IT person to understand how cyber can harm you, right? The same way people can scam you in real life.
Mhm.
Don't you educate yourself to not fall for those scams in real life? Yes, you do. Don't you educate your kids? Yes, you do. The same way you need to educate your kids and your family about these threats, right? And a lot of times, especially kids, like I said, every young boy who wants to play that latest game, he's going to go on internet, and believe me, they're going to find a free version somewhere on the internet, right? But what happens is it's not just the young kid using that computer. Is the mother using the computer? Is the father using the computer? Is the father using the e-banking on that computer? Is the siblings using their university accounts on their computer? Is the one computer that many family members are using, and now everyone's data is gone. So
Okay.
we need to talk more about it, and places where we cannot totally prevent it, we need to find ways to counter that, and that is an ongoing discussion.
Okay. I have to read the question on the chat box from Santam Duganda, but before we get there, what level of protection can we get from our antivirus software?
Not much,
Mm.
unfortunately.
Mm.
Anti-malware has become the most easiest security control to bypass
Mhm.
by hackers. So, like we say, prevention is better than being sorry, right? Being safe is better than being sorry. So that same rule applies in cyber threats. Uh, be very vigilant. Employ a good cyber hygiene. The same way you wash your hands, the same way you keep yourself clean, the
Mhm.
same way you need everyone need to learn a good cyber hygiene. Don't engage in those actions, like don't plug unknown USBs onto your computer. And if you have something that is very important in your life, like your e-banking, if you can afford, maybe keep those computers separate. So you have
Mhm.
one computer in which you only log in to your critical accounts, and that's it. You don't go to open
On
websites,
everything.
you don't run any under the computers. So that is one way of keeping hygiene. But that is a economical thing, right? No, not everyone can afford it, right?
Very important advice. I hope you get that, brothers and sisters, as we are now diving into the issue being brought up by Santam Duganda in the chat box. And this is what Santam wrote. He's actually concerned about whether there exists a law about those types of activities. And Santam asked, he would like to know if the developing countries have laws about the geopolitical cyber threat and what kind of limit do those laws have? I don't know if a law can actually do anything, but let me hear your side of this challenge, Mustafa.
Yeah. So for cyber crimes, definitely the law have some impact. But when you talk about
Mm.
geopolitics, if USA decides to attack Iran using which they did already, like back in
Mhm.
2007 with a Stuxnet malware that like destroyed their nuclear facility equipment, that is the law. USA
Wow.
deciding to attack Iran
Mhm.
becomes the law. So the National Security Agency, they put all of their resources to do that. Russia deciding to attack Ukraine power grids is the national directive. So what law can prevent that? Is the nation state deciding to attack another nation state. So for geopolitics, there used to be something called international law, which I believe has disappeared from the scene altogether in recent years. Uh, as world leaders say, they don't need international law. So that could be something, but that is also unfortunately gone.
All right.
I have one question before I sign out. It's
Okay.
from Marvin. They say the rise of AI has significantly increased the sophistication of phishing attacks, making them harder to differentiate from legitimate emails. Human users continue to present the primary attack surface must be a key focus. Yep, it's a more of a comment than question, Marvin. I totally agree. AI has just not only it has made it easy for you to write emails, it has easy for criminals to write a phishing email. So it is helping everyone. So everyone is benefiting from AI. So do criminals and the defenders. So yes, that's very true observation.
Thank you very, very much once again, Prof. Mustafa Kassim. Just before you log out, I heard you mention that I was going to keep you for another 10 minutes, but that's okay. You've done a phenomenal job with this presentation, which has provided sufficient information to all of us in this arena of computer threats. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to ask you, Mustafa Kassim, to draw a conclusion before I invite our participants to talk to you globally. Your conclusion, please, Mustafa.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm more than happy to stay another 10, 15 minutes. That's also all good. If there are more questions, I'm happy to answer. So I'm in no rush to jump off. Yeah. So people, if you have questions, I'm happy to spend more time with you guys.
Okay.
So maybe we can take some questions first, and then
Yes, Sabina Lokolong has her hands up. Go ahead, Sabina. We are
Hello.
all
Hi.
ears.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, for the great presentation. It's good for raising awareness because as the technology has advantages, it has disadvantages, and people are really suffering from this. And there has been a lot of, as you said, like everybody has come across some hacking, whether in a WhatsApp group, whether in a scam, scam messages that are being sent to people. Like sometimes they say about a scholarship, about you winning a prize, a gift, those type of things. Really, people don't need to click them. A lot of disadvantages. My concern is I'm just making a comment that the world is not safe anymore. Nobody is safe. Even in your own bedroom, you're not safe. So there's a lot of intrusion into our lives, too much control, and then you don't know. Yes. What I really don't like is the competition between Google and Microsoft. They can disturb you on your laptop until you cannot function sometime, until you lose track of your things. Yes. Sometimes, the pop-ups are the worst because, you are trying to click something will just pop up there exactly, and then you end up clicking on a wrong thing. You're thinking that you are clicking on what you wanted, and you find yourself you have signed something that you didn't really want. Yeah. So this adverts really, I wish the laws could control them a bit, not to just come anytime like that, because it's my time as well, and it's my phone and it's my internet.
Yes.
I am paying for it.
Yes.
So I
right.
think the
Thanks.
competition, like many people who have already a lot of money, they still have money.
Yeah.
Now
Thanks.
Microsoft and Google, you have to pay
Thanks,
monthly.
Sabina.
There was nothing like that before.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I do agree with you, and I've got your comment, and the crux of that would be, if I summarize, is the world is becoming complex, no doubt. The world is advancing, the technology is advancing. So yes, things are gonna be complicated. We like all of us, and most of us, we know how easy mobile phones were 10 years ago, and how complex they are now in 2025, right? So technology, the world is not going to stop getting complex. So we have to come together as a community and help everyone in our circle, in our family, people who are not in technology, to be aware that, hey, what you are engaging with is not something simple. So maybe you need to learn how to protect. I see more. Thanks, Sabrina, for your comment. I see more hands raised.
Cedric Mukasa, your turn now, please, Cedric.
Okay, yes. First of all, I want to thank the Professor Mustafa for his presentation. It was very amazing, very good. But I have just one question.
Okay.
I want to know for you what strategic shifts are required for government and organizations to move from a reactive cybersecurity to a proactive cyber resilience.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cedric. That's a really great question, and I would say for every community, we need to invest in the young people to grow these cyber skills, right? In Africa, every country needs their own their own people trained on these skills. Otherwise, who is going to protect your infrastructure? Who is going to protect your assets? So every country needs to invest to their capacity. This initiative by AIU is an awesome initiative, which makes it really accessible to a lot of people, these trainings and sessions. So every country need to train their human resource. Who would go into those government departments? Who would go into those private companies and take charge of that infrastructure? So I guess having those cyber academies and training programs to upskill the young generation and making people job ready, that is the first step in that direction, where a country can have enough capacity and capability to protect against and be proactive against these threats.
All right. The last question is coming now from Che Amancho. I do realize that you've been fighting to log in. You probably missed most from that presentation of Mustafa Kassim, but let's grant you this opportunity to ask your question, Che Amancho.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for the presentation. And thank you,
welcome.
Doctor, for the facilitation and to all the participants. In fact, it has really been a very interesting topic because cybersecurity happens to be a threat to the entire world. Everybody is involved, be it on your phone,
Let's
on
get
your
into the
laptop.
question, please, if you don't mind.
So my very first question here is, what risks are involved with antivirus softwares? The risks involved with antivirus softwares.
I believe Mustafa addressed that question.
Secondly, what is a data breach? And finally, what is a data compromise?
Yeah. So
Okay.
a data breach and compromise can be used synonymously, like the same way, but a data breach is the same way, like whenever I give that example earlier in this session, that if I am after the telecom in Africa, which is like Rio Tech, for example, fictional name, and you are the support analyst or some engineer in Riotech, and you get a victim of InfoStealer, I would get your credential, log into Riotech systems with your credential, download all the emails, all the files, anything that you have access to now. And when I put that on the internet, that is a data breach. That Riotech's data was accessed by an unauthorized criminal party and put it on internet. So that is a data compromise or data breach incident that you can think of. And then there are different laws and rules in every country that if let's say in whatever country that Riotech is establishing in Africa, if they have a law that, hey, if you lose your customers' data, you need to inform the customers, or you need to inform the government in 2 days, within 5 days. So any compliance or regulation that applies to data breach, Riotech have to follow through that regulation. So that is how a data breach incident, what a data breach incident is.
Once again, thank you very, very much, Professor Mustafa Kassim. You've done an exceptional job of teaching us about cybersecurity, and I hope you will very soon respond positively to our invitations to be with the family of Atlantic International University for another class. I don't know if you want at this time to draw a conclusion before we invite the participants to say thank you collectively to you, Professor. If you want to draw a conclusion, Professor Mustafa.
Yes. Yep. So I have got one question. I will say the slides. Yes, the slides will be shared with the staff, and you can get it from AIU. I think they post that with every lecture recording, so or with the lecture archive. So I will share the slide deck with the staff after this session, and then you can get it from the staff. So yeah, you will get the slide deck. But yeah. But in conclusion, I would again just repeat that it is very crucial for everyone to understand cyber threats. Doesn't matter even if you don't work in technology, it is important because it does touch your life, right? A next cyber attack can disrupt the fuel supply in your city. It can disrupt the hospital that you are attending, or maybe someone in your family is depending on, right? Or the schools your kids go to, or the banking system you depend on to withdraw your wage and expense and buy things. So it does touch everyone's life, and so it is important for us to play our part. And I would encourage all of you, whatever bits you have learned today from me, please do teach it to other people in your family. Do talk about it to your friends. And especially teach it to your young kids about cyber hygiene. And there is a lot of content on internet. If you Google cybersecurity awareness, there is so much content on the internet that you can consume yourself or with your friends and families and help everyone get better at this.